All right. Usually we gather on like a Monday night. We drop episodes on Wednesdays these days. We used to do Sundays, but not anymore. But special occasion, getting together for a watch party for a brand new Predator movie. It's the 5th in the series, but Predators have been featured in like 7 movies. I was just talking to my co-star here, Jordan, about that before Dave joined us late. He's like, guys, let's go in 5 minutes. I'm ready to rock and roll. Whatever. Dave shows up when he wants. We want to know, how drunk is Dave? The big-time theater actor dropping in, giving us some of his time. He's been moonlighting in a play. He doesn't have time for a podcast anymore. His play, his part. What are you drinking? Zima? Is Zima still on the market?
God,
Looks like
no.
Dave has a
I'm
bottle
drinking
of
Miller.
Zima. Drinking what?
Miller.
Oh, Miller White Claw.
Oh, God, not Miller White Claw. I'm not.
You know, does Miller have a seltzer? They probably do. Every beer
Probably.
company has a
Who
seltzer
doesn't?
now.
Seltzer.
Yeah. Who doesn't have a seltzer?
Corona's
Miller's
got a seltzer. I think Budweiser. I don't know. They're not for me.
I don't think they're for anybody, to be completely honest.
You know, I see a lot of people drink them, those White Claws and shit.
They came, they went. Ugh, I just
really? I still see them around. I don't know. Maybe it's because I work in an office.
Isn't the hard seltzer the reason that there's a hard Mountain Dew? Like, isn't that why Pepsi got into the game? Yeah, there is, but it's like in Tennessee and Minnesota. Like, it hasn't reached the coast yet. Or I don't. Is it in Denver yet? Jordan,
No.
do you know if there's hard Mountain Dews like walking around in your
No.
neighborhood?
I also live in a city where there is like more breweries than Starbucks, so I don't think that they would allow something like that.
That's such a great advertisement for like a city brochure. Like, we got more breweries
Yes.
than we have Starbucks.
I think we have like over 22 at this point.
Wow.
Well,
So that's like where Stella is like way too popular or something like that. And anything if it's manufactured is way too popular, apparently.
Yep. Yeah. We've got some big breweries here. So lots of microbreweries.
But they're all local boys, right? And gals. Like, they're not like big corporations. These are like all regional beers.
The only one that we have would be the Budweiser brewery right off the interstate. So yeah, Anheuser-Busch has their big brewery right out here. But that's like the only one. We still have New Belgium, Odell's are like 2 big breweries, but those are nationwide at this point. They're not really considered microbreweries anymore. But yeah.
So, folks, I thought Dave was going to be slamming something hard, but he's just kicking back with a little beer.
A little Miller time.
Friday evening.
I didn't have enough time to get anything stronger. I was like, all right, my 5 minutes has stretched to 10.
Well, here, Dave, I'll give you 40 seconds to mix a drink. All right, let's see what happens. Let's see what you can whip together in 40 seconds.
Crack open a cold box of wine or pour something cold on ice because it's the Binge-Watchers podcast.
Now, see, Dave, if you had an actual can, you could have timed it with the theme song where they crack it open. You could have cracked it.
You know what I feel bad is because I opened up my beer fresh and like clinked it in something. I was like, oh man, that would have made a great sound on the podcast. I don't know if I can replicate that.
So, disclaimer: this show's for grown-ups. So, grown-ups, don't let your children catch you drinking while listening to our podcast. But join along. Also, I can't recommend dumping an energy drink. Actually, I have a Mountain Dew energy drink.
There we go.
Into vodka. Now, I'm not sure what I'm not sure where we're at with vodka versus pineapple mango, but I don't know. It tastes pretty good.
That sounds delicious.
It's rather tropical.
Like vodka's a mixer anyway.
Like I'm on the beach
with any fruit juice.
Yeah, well, that's true. I guess it's like a citrus thing. Headlines. Let's see what's going on in TVs and movies. I sent some handwritten notes to the team. Jordan loved them. Dave, I don't know if you read them.
I thought I liked it or gave it a heart.
You gave it a heart symbol. Wait, see if I can draw a heart. Ooh, look at that. That was almost a perfect heart shape. See that?
There you
go. Use your imagination. If you're listening, you'll just have to imagine that you saw me draw a heart on camera. Or you can find our video. It's going to be out there somewhere.
Or maybe one day we'll have enough fans that somebody wants to like animate these into short bits like they used to on Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, let's make our fans cut our clips so we don't have to edit anything. Let's make them
Animate us. Do work for us.
All right, so Insidious is coming back with another sequel, Insidious 5. It's a college nightmare this time. Father and son story. They're going back and they're getting the original stars, Patrick Wilson, to show up with the kid from part 1. If you remember that, like, the kid was haunted by the same demon that, like, haunted the dad. But then they mixed in the dad being haunted by a serial killer that dressed as a nun or dressed as women, separate from the demon that was introduced in the same movie. It got a little confusing, right? There was a lot of stuff going on in the Insidious movies. But Patrick Wilson is supposed to direct this one, which is really cool, because it says, like, it's his directorial debut, which I thought by now he would have done something else, but I guess not. So, anyway, that looks cool.
Okay. I didn't even see the last one.
Like, 2 hours before we started rolling the mics here, folks, like, I got a notification on my phone, and, like, of course, TMZ is always there. They got, like, you're talking about fans. They have minions. They, like, got TMZ people everywhere that flip out their cameras. There's, like, saying that Anne Heche crashed her car into somebody's house, and they ignited the car and the house on fire, and she's, like, in the ICU. And then I was looking, what is... It's unfortunate. It's horrible. Like, I guess she's, like, burned. I don't know how badly, but
it's
anyway.
Super sad. I'm laughing because I'm watching the two of you try to stifle your burps while on the show. It is not funny to be burned
okay. Yeah,
across your body.
I'm also trying to deliver something, like, serious. And
yes.
Okay,
your body's going against you.
But I wrote down, like, there's 3 movies that I know Anne Heche from, and unfortunately, like, her IMDb page, the first movie that pops up is Volcano.
Oh, really?
And she just got burned in a car accident. So maybe IMDb should edit the page and, like, move the movies around. But anyway, she's also in Donnie Brasco. And have you ever seen a movie called Spread with Ashton Kutcher? It's like a romance movie.
Oh, I remember when it came out, but I never saw it.
She's, like, trying to seduce Ashton Kutcher. Anyway.
I really liked her. She was on a TV show, an HBO show for a few seasons called Hung that had Thomas Jane in it. That was a great show, but it kind of didn't do that well, I guess. They only gave it 3 seasons. But, yeah. I hope she's well.
Bratwurst Factory.
I hope so, too. I believe it.
Yeah. Sorry, I was making a joke about Hung while they were saying their best well wishes for Anne Heche. Yeah.
I mean, that is a credit of hers. I can't help it that she's in a show called Hung. That's really good.
Hope she wasn't drinking.
Yeah. That's. I mean, who knows? I mean,
but Dave, you said California's on fire, and not for the sake of, like, fires breaking out. You said something about somebody also crashed into a gas station.
Yes.
Well, yeah. It's just weird that there's 2. A very similar in that it was a fiery car crash, except the difference is it killed like 6 people, I guess. Some woman was in a heated I don't know. I didn't get all the details, but a woman, I guess, crashed into, I think, a gas station that exploded, killed 6 people. Like, it sounds like out of a Michael Bay movie, and I'm not making light of. I'm sorry for anybody who lost their life. It's just you see things like that on movies, and you don't like see it that often in real life, and you're like, whoa, shit like that really happens, I guess, once in a while.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of shock factor to the video. It was horrific. So.
Yeah, the fire. I mean,
they're circulating the video, like, in the news or whatever, or online.
Yeah,
or something.
The video is definitely circulating. So
not good.
Sad story, very tragic for sure, but seems to be a theme right now. Yeah.
It was just very coincidental that because you sent that, and like my first instinct was like, wait, was that the one I saw earlier? And now we're finding out it's Anne Heche. And then when I read the details, like, oh no, this is different.
It's like an unrelated trage, another tragic fire. Dang.
So I mean,
you know what's though? It's like, I guess things could happen all at once, but it's just because everything travels at light speed, right? We get inundated with all this information all at the same time. It's hard to process. Yeah. Anyway,
so don't drink and drive.
Hell no.
Yeah, I mean,
disclaimer.
Just drink and get on a podcast with your
responsibly.
Exactly. Stay at home. Talk about movies.
We want to talk about other things being on fire. Batgirl's canceled at HBO Max. Now people are wondering if HBO Max even exists anymore. Like, the Discovery buyout of HBO is pretty much complete. They fired everybody that previously worked for HBO. Like, they're canceling shows left and right.
Well, what's so weird about this is like we knew some of this was coming. We knew for a long time, or for at least a few months, we knew that HBO Max and Discovery Plus were going to be merged. But now they're just like ruthless, cutting shows left and right, I don't know, man. Like I've never seen anything like this, in my lifetime. Where I mean, we've heard of plenty of productions that like were so beyond repair that they abandoned it, but like. By all accounts, this doesn't sound like there was anything wrong with it. I know they're trying to like backpedal and say, "Oh, it was a troubled production. It was doing poor in test screenings," which I'd never.
No, they're like leaking financials, saying that like they just intentionally made this movie to like get a tax break or like to tank it on purpose.
Well, you're right. That's what's coming. That's what's coming out now. But they were standing before that. They were trying to say, "Oh, well, it was doing poorly, and it was never a movie we're going to whip into shape. So we're just going to take our loss." Now you're right. Now stuff is coming out. We're like, "Oh, well, it's a tax break." They did that to a Scooby-Doo movie, I guess, that was coming out.
Well, here's the crazy thing is like they were going to bring back Michael Keaton as Batman, which like every Batman fan was like, "Yes, do that." Bring back 1989's Batman. We love this. And he was going to be in like 3 movies, but like, so Batgirl's off the table. The Flash may or may not come out because Ezra Miller's like lost his mind and they want to distance himself from like what the star is doing in real life.
Why isn't that the movie they're doing the tax break on though? Like that movie is already tainted by his stuff. Like
they're like
if you're gonna dump a movie and start from scratch or say goodbye, that should be the movie you do.
I heard they were questioning whether or not they could like use green screen and like crop Ezra Miller out of the entire movie and put another Flash in the movie.
Sure, but at what cost though? I mean,
I don't know. Well, what cost to Michael Keaton? Because the third movie he was going to be in is the Aquaman Part 2, right? But then they just went over to Ben Affleck and like, "Hey, Affleck, you come back as Batman. We've cut Keaton out of this one too." They already shot Keaton scenes for that movie. So they're reshooting with Batfleck.
But it's so weird. Like this stuff has been going on.
Jordan doesn't give a shit about any of this Warner Brother news. She's
well,
like, let's talk about
I don't even care about Batgirl particularly, but I find it more fascinating.
He's like, you nerds, we need to move on to the actual movie we gathered.
What I'm gathering is it sounds like there's no rhyme or reason to what they're doing over there.
Yeah.
And
that's the weird thing is we may not understand it, but there's a rhyme to this guy or a reason to this guy because he's been like quietly he's been doing this for a while, but now it's like on big projects that we're seeing. Like there was a whole entire season of a TV show on TBS called, I already forgot it had Nassim Pedrad, who used to be on SNL, or Chad. It's a show called Chad. I've never seen it, but apparently it's got a cult following.
Wait, what are you talking about? You're talking about Ezra Miller's behavior? Is that what you're talking about?
No. I'm talking about what this guy is doing to Warner Brothers products all across the board. It's been going on for a while.
Wait, this is one person at Discovery that's in charge of all this?
Because Discovery sneakily built their business up so much that they were more financial than Warner Brothers. So Discovery bought Warner Brothers. Now this guy who's the head of Discovery that's taking over for both entities is cleaning house.
Do you know his name? Because I want to
something like Jim Livitz, or I can't.
I gotta look this guy up.
But a week or two ago, there's a TV show on TBS called Chad that has an entire second season filmed, ready in the can, ready to air. And literally the day that it was supposed to premiere, or maybe the day before, they said, "Oh, we're not going to put it out there now." So now the producers have this entire second season of a TV show that are trying to shop it around to see if anybody else wants to take it on.
Well, I don't know if we can defend that show or not. I have no idea what that show's about.
I don't either, but the point is he's doing this to like all kinds of products that are already done. Yeah. Like you already have a TV show made. Why not air it? Like
or sell it off to somebody that can.
Right.
Yeah, different channel.
Like he's cutting a bunch of shows. Like he cut a bunch of shows from TBS and TNT, which were part of Warner Brothers. Like he's just cleaning house. He's been doing this for weeks, but now he did it to Batgirl, and so now all of a sudden people are like, "Hey, wait a minute." Which
my new superpower continues because I pissed off a bunch of Ghost Adventure fans. Like, you know how last week or the week before,
are we really pissing off the conspiracy theorist crowd?
Yeah, dude.
For the third week in a row.
Yeah, dude. Because I had said, we canceled Batgirl, so now they have a bunch of money to spend on like another group of like frat boys jacked up on steroids, pretending to scare each other with imaginary ghosts. And then, like, there's all these comments on my Instagram reel, and they're like really pissed. Like, I'm just like, awesome. This is hilarious.
That's awesome.
They say Any publicity is good publicity.
Because
dude,
I'm a nerd, but like
I'm embracing this cringe hate like comedy that's happening right now with me. Like I'm like 100% all in. It's hilarious. It's super hilarious.
You don't mess with my man great. John.
You got the ghost hunter people's up. No, they're real. I'll show you. Even though I can't replicate my evidence, they're real.
Ancient aliens. That was the first one.
Dude, anyway, okay.
Oh man.
We're actually here to talk about a movie, not just play our greatest hits. Tonight's movie is Prey. A Comanche warrior protects her tribe from an alien threat. And we're going to talk about it, I promise. But I'm actually going to go to a quick message, and then we'll be back with our review and watch party of the movie Prey. And Dave supposedly put together some dangerous facts lists, even though he didn't include anything about the dog from the movie, who's like the best character in the whole movie. But
again,
we'll get into it.
I didn't know about the dog until I watched it. And there was nothing.
I'm stalling for time because I can't find the thing that I wanted to show the audience. I'll have to find it. There it is. I got it.
All right.
Okay. Love Again Media is an amazing mom and pop movie subscription box. You can start with boxes as low as $20 a month. You get 15% off with our promo code BINGE. You can also win a gift card for signing up. Visit them at lovedagainmedia.com/binge. Me personally, I love stacking up their bargain bins. I went surfing in there and I found a box of movies that included a bunch of out-of-print DVDs. And actually, I think I actually spent like maybe $45 on a box. But then I had 3 out-of-print movies that I sold on eBay. Don't tell the people that I bought the movies from, but I sold them and got more money than the box cost. So anyway, you can either collect movies that you love or you can resell them. Don't tell them the value of your movies. But if you want to check out Love Again Media, go to lovedagainmedia.com/binge. They're one of our affiliates. And now back to the podcast that's already in progress. Let's see. Dave and Jordan, we can finally talk about Prey, which is the 5th Predator movie. Is that in your fact sheet, David?
Maybe. I know I got some facts about where it is with the franchise. All right. Actually, that is the very first thing I said. This is the 5th entry in the Predator series, which it is. It is the 5th entry in Predator, not including the Alien versus Predator movies. And it's the only one to not include the word Predator or some variation in the title. So, interesting. This is the first movie to actually be dubbed in the Comanche language. If you watch it, you're going to watch it in English, but if you can, switch it to full Comanche dub. The producer, if I'm saying this right, Jane Myers, because it's JH, is actually a Comanche and Blackfoot herself, and she suggests that you actually watch the movie once in Comanche and once in English, so got her endorsement. Prey actually just had its world premiere at the San Diego Comic-Con on the July 21st of 2022. This is the only time of this recording that it's actually going to be screened in front of an audience in a theater because it is streaming exclusively on Hulu. It's the first Predator movie to not get a wide theatrical release, so that's actually kind of a bummer. We'll get into that. This is the first Predator movie to actually have a full female protagonist as the main protagonist, and I found interesting, this movie was actually in development before the last Predator movie that everybody hated, The Predator. It was actually originally to be titled Skulls. The director, Dan Trachtenberg, had wanted to market the movie with no mention of predators at all, but of course had to abandon that once it was revealed to be a Predator movie, which I think would have been awesome. Could you imagine watching this movie just thinking it's a Comanche warrior taking on an alien and then find out, oh, it's a Predator? Like, just not knowing that at all. That would have been awesome. But
it would have been cool, but it would have been spoiled as soon as it dropped online. People would have had that up on YouTube and you would have known what it is.
You can't keep that secret too long, but I mean, it's the idea of how cool would that be. I mean, it's like, movie we loved, From Dusk Till Dawn. They had to market it as a vampire movie, but the first half is a gangster movie.
I noticed you didn't really include like a description of what the Predator movies are or like any trivia about them.
Well, because
Peter
we're
Cullen,
focusing
all
on
the Predator
this
noises. The Predator noises are made by Peter Cullen. I don't think they were used in this movie because, like you said, they try to distance this movie from the other Predators, or the fact that like this is like the 7th movie that includes a Predator. It has a name.
It's very different in a good way. I mean, it's actually, I mean, it is and it isn't. I mean, this movie is probably the closest to the original in terms of just a very simple story. Well,
also the Predator's scary too. They kind of make the Predator more like horror movie, old school. The nickname for it is the feral predator. The other predators actually have names, like descriptions. Like they don't have names, but they have descriptions, right? Like for example, well, we'll talk about it in favorite bits because I got my beef with the predators, so I don't want to get too far ahead. But I'm ready. I got my gun loaded. I'm ready for this.
We're ready for the bits already.
My opinion cannon. Let's see. Where are we? Yeah. What else?
Okay.
I mean, I said what the movie's about. He dropped his facts. Yeah, we can roll right into freaking favorite bits.
Comanche warrior versus a predator. I mean, that's basically the description. The simplification.
Yeah, I mean, I loved that it was a girl power movie. She had a lot stacked against her. So just having to prove her worth as a female warrior is always some of my favorite stuff. I mean, there was a lot of beheadings, so I thought that was cool. It was pretty gory. Like
a lot of heads rolling on this one, folks.
Yeah, I mean, it was like good fight scenes and like good gore, in my opinion. Like I think sometimes they can be super cheesy, but I just thought it was sick. And this is my first experience. I know I'm a novice, but with the Predator, and I thought, yeah, it was super fun. There was a lot of really cool scenes that were some of my favorites. Nothing that's sticking out, too seriously, except for, of course, like the final kill. But I don't want to spoil it too much. So
yeah, especially since it's so new.
Yes.
Oh, I'll spoil it. So during the final kill,
you're just pissing off the other. Now you're pissing off a different group of.
Spoiler! Here it comes. This is the first spoiler of the evening. This is a full spoiler review. The final fight, she uses the Predator's weapon to kill him. He still has a laser targeting in his helmet, even though he uses steel arrows and not the traditional laser. Whatever. Anyway, she kills him with his own weapon.
But that makes sense to me only because since this takes place so far into the past of our world, it only makes sense that it takes place in the past of the Predator world.
Like so as if
that makes sense that he would have more primitive tools because he is in.
Well, actually, I think the acceptable difference, if we want to get real, if we want to fucking really go on the edge with conical predator stuff, they're also in tribal groups, and so their technology wouldn't be the same. Like they're different subsects and different spaceships, like all spread out. So one group might have the lasers, the other group is like, "Nah, we got these metal arrows." You know what I mean?
There you go. You just justify the reason.
Yeah. A different group, a different family group of predators or whatever.
Yeah. I guess that'd be me. Again, I guess spoiler alert. Even though, because it's so new. There's a few bits. I mean, Predator versus a bear was I didn't see that coming necessarily.
Russell's a bear. He takes his sweet time. He loves it, enjoys it. Apparently.
Yeah. And then that's just fun. I mean, again, and pretty good special effects. I mean, clearly we know it's not a real bear, but I mean, it looked really good. The other scene that really stuck out there's a lot of scenes that stood out, so I won't go on and on about all of them because I might steal some from John. But there's a scene where, when I think the whole tribe first sees the Predator, and now he's going after everybody. And he has taken out Comanche warriors left and right. Like, I mean, they're giving a good fight, but I mean, they can't necessarily beat an alien or predator, because they don't know what the hell it is. But I mean, you talk about gore. I mean, you see arms ripped off. You see, heads rolling.
Actually, you know what the downfall of the other hunters
when
is?
He gets the head and the tree trunk. That was like my favorite beheading.
One of the other themes that doesn't accept the girl as the warrior is because they can't see over the horizon as far as like their ignorance or their like acceptance is like that's what did the hunters in is they couldn't rationalize something that they couldn't see or something they couldn't understand. Like they weren't willing to take a chance outside of their routine. So like that was their downfall. If they had accepted things that were not ordinary, then it probably would have gone better for them. But they can't even accept the fact that like she's going to step outside of her role as like the assistant healer of the group and like go and be one of the certified hunters, right?
But that's kind of the thesis of the movie if it has one, which is like women can kick just as much ass. I mean, for instance, my favorite bit on the 13th Warrior a few episodes ago was a guy taking on somebody younger to prove himself. I mean, this whole movie is basically that scene. Like, she's going to prove herself. I mean, again, spoiler alert, one of the reasons why she can defeat the Predator or can work against him is and forgive me, I watched this really late last night, and I'm going to definitely watch it again at some point, so maybe I missed this detail. But the Predator did not see her as a threat. Now, I don't know if that's because she didn't give off a pheromone, or he saw her as a weaker sex, or whatever. But that, of course, worked to her advantage, which, again, like the 13th Warrior, like, okay, don't discount me because you think I'm weak. I will.
Well, see, I wrote down as part of my favorite bit that was one of the problems with the Predator was it had the same weaknesses as the Predators in all the movies. They're overconfident. They're zealous. They have bravado. They think they're the best hunters in the universe, so they don't see threats at face value. Yeah, and they rely too heavily on the technology. I'm ready to go unless you got more.
Go. No. I mean, again, I was only going to mention those because there's a lot of favorite bits. So
no, but if you look at history, like if you read about real famous warriors, they have like things wrong with them. They have like emotional problems. They have physical disabilities, and you read about it. So it's never the Hollywood hero. You know what I'm saying? Like historically, like it's these people that you don't at first go, oh, that's an alpha. No, really, the alphas are hiding in plain sight because not even recognizing them, and then they're gonna go fuck up a predator. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Right. Like you're not paying attention to them, but they become the real heroes anyway. So my favorite bits: Amber Midthunder as Naru, who's the main actor. She's great, and glad she's discovered. And it's cool to be in a Predator movie. Dakota Beavers, who's supposedly a musician, I don't know about his music, but he plays the brother. So my three favorite bits are really like I like the brother and the sister, and I like the dog. I'm glad the dog's not CGI. Like the bear and the lion are. Like actors played the bear and the lion, but I looked it up. There's an animal trainer. And the reason the dog is so well trained, I don't know if they had multiple dogs or one dog. I couldn't figure that out. But I wrote down Raymond Beals is the main animal trainer. Dude has done Max, A Dog's Life, Marley and Me, all the live action Disney movies like Dalmatians. He did As Good as It Gets. So basically, anytime there was a major dog movie in the last 10 years, why these dog movies are so good is like this guy's great at training the dogs.
No, you really, I mean, you gave that to all of us, and one of the first things I looked up his IMDb, and the first thing that stood out was the movie that came out last year with Tom Hanks called Finch, which the movie is actually pretty good, but I mean, it has some of the best dog acting in that movie. Like that movie kind of lives and dies by how good the dog is, and so this guy's a real deal.
One thing I don't like is I think the Predator in this movie in particular doesn't have a lot of personality. And again, his weakness is what we said a few minutes ago, like his overconfidence. And like, there's better Predators, like in Alien vs. Predators, which is not canonical anymore, and people don't like to talk about that movie because they don't like it as much. There's a Predator in there named Scar, who actually helps the main character. Actually, in Alien vs. Predator, there's a female hero in that one too. She's like, I don't know if she's some kind of like archaeologist or something. Anyway, so Scar from that movie is a good Predator, and the original Predator, who's called the Jungle Hunter, right, from the 80s one with Arnold, right? Like, I mean, he's the one that goes at the end, like he records what they say. At one point, I think Arnold says shit happens, and the Predator at the end of the movie, like, plays it back, like when he knows he's gonna. Oh, spoiler alert, Jordan! The Predator in the original movie blows up. Before he blows up, he goes, "Shit happens." And you're like, oh my gosh! Like the alien, like listened to what they said and said it back to him. You know, right when he knew that shit was about. You know, shit does happen because oh boy, I'm about to die. Yeah, but I understand it though. I mean, they're trying to have like a savage version of the Predator, maybe like a force of nature, right? Like really scare people, like get back to basics. That makes sense, right? It is like the original in that sense, but. Gosh, I'd love to see a Predator movie from the perspective of the Predator. I know they do the heat vision. You can see what he's looking at, but would it be great if like you really knew what they were thinking? you know what I mean? Like, are they just like conservative big game hunters that aren't supposed to be here and they're like illegally hunting humans? You know what I mean? Like, can we come up with like a backstory for the Predators when they show up? That'd be awesome. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I don't know. I guess they
have an inner life,
funny, right? I guess it'd be too much. I guess it'd be too much of a comedy, and they wouldn't do it. Maybe they could do like a Rick and Morty episode where they run into some predators. I mean, they already made fun of Hellraiser, so why not make fun of the Predators?
Have like an eye predator or something, where it's like an inner goes deep into the predator's emotions and feelings.
Yeah,
like, I hunt, but what happens when I am hunted?
Hunt to live. Hunt.
Just make it like a psychodrama with a predator. Like, what's life all about? Like, do I just kill all my life?
The ratings probably sound automatic for this movie. I think it's a safe bet.
Probably.
Yeah.
I guess.
Let's make it official. What did you think, Jordan? Or what is your rating?
It was a binge now for me. I'm sure you're shocked. What about you, Dave?
It's a binge now. I mean, I kind of already had. Hearing this went straight to Hulu versus theaters. I was a little skeptical, but now I'm more skeptical of like, why didn't this go into theaters? Like this, it feels like this could have made some money. I mean, it may not have been like Top Gun Maverick, but like it feels like this movie could have easily made its money back. I don't know what they put into it, but it feels like this should have been had a wide release. But binge now.
Well, see, I really wanted to like the one that what's his name did? The one that just came out before in 2018. What was that one? The Predators.
Predator.
The Predator. From Shane Black, who was an actor in the first Predator. Then he became a screenwriter in Hollywood. Then he got a chance to make a Predator movie. Had a lot of hopes for that. Then they leaked the script, and I read it. And I was like, oh, this is not going to work out. This movie, all the early stuff was like, everybody loved it. Fans, critics, everybody that saw it at the Comic-Con, they're like, oh, yeah, this is it. This is a proper Predator sequel. So it was a safe bet that I was like, oh, Jordan, we're going to start you on the Predator movies like 5 movies in. You know what I mean? You're like, what do you need to know? Hey, there's an alien that comes down and hunts people. Other than that, but if we had sent her like one of the Alien versus Predator movies or like one of the lesser sequels, she probably would have been like, why did you do this? Like,
I mean, it's I don't know. I know Jordan's not going to have a weigh in on this, but I mean, for my money, it's definitely the second best Predator movie. It's right up there with the first one. And I'm still fairly new to the Predator franchise because I barely watched the first one right before the last one came out. Because
I still go part 2, the original, and then this one is in my top 3. But I'm not going to push it higher than where I rank the other ones.
In all fairness, I mean I haven't seen Predators, so I can't speak to that one. But like. And I came onto this late. Like I only saw the first one a few years ago, but I will say, having seen all of them but the Predators, it's been consistent in quality. Like they're all pretty. They all have their good qualities. I mean, Alien versus Predator are their own things, but like there hasn't been a bad canonical Predator movie. Well, except for I guess the last one. I know people didn't like, but there hasn't really been a terrible Predator movie, at least in my opinion.
Well, and this one includes a nod to the second one because the gun from the French trappers that she gets in this movie is supposed to be the same prop or relic that was given to the hero in part 2.
Yeah, I know. I remember hearing something about it, but again, I don't know these movies well enough to like catch that.
So anyway, folks, I mean, you heard it. We're not really bitching or complaining. I mean, we all are saying binge now on Prey, and then binge later any of the Predator movies that have come before it. And if there's a binge never in the group, it's probably
The Predator, the last one.
No, I still like that more than Robert Rodriguez's movie.
2/3 of a good movie. I mean, I know people shat on it, but like I thought it was really good for the first 2/3, and then it kind of went into a weird area.
Who knows?
But
did you guys have time to watch anything else? Do we have a staff pick for this week?
I'm still stockpiling for winter. I'm hibernating. Rewatching stuff to prepare for the new seasons, like What We Do in the Shadows, and mainly that one. But I always like to start over. What about you, Dave?
I haven't had a ton of time, but I will say that the last few things I've watched have been really quality. Let's see, maybe I'll throw out something that nobody's heard of because I've watched a few classics, but I just watched a movie the other day called Cure. There's a few movies, there's The Cure and there's some other things, but this is just called Cure. And it's a Japanese movie from 1997, and it's basically the Japanese Seven. I mean, not beat for beat, but I mean, it's like a serial killer epic. People like all of a sudden just start killing, will just kill somebody randomly, the next person they meet. And and they have an X cut across their chest.
Hmm.
The detective. So
what is it? So it's like like a serial killer virus that passes from victim to victim, or something?
Kind of. I mean, and the first thing I thought is that it felt like that Denzel Washington movie Fallen. Although this movie came out 2 years before that, so a year or so who's copying who? But yeah, basically, I mean, that's I guess spoiler alert, because that's kind of like you don't know that right away. But yeah, like it's basically almost passed on like a virus. Actually, no, that's not true. There's a real reveal on how it's being done, which I won't spoil, but you're getting the impression the whole time that it's just being passed on from person to person. So detectives trying to figure it out. And some pretty, like, the kills in the movie are just brutal in the sense that, like, there's no real lead up. It just happens. Like, there's a happy song playing in the background, and then just somebody takes a pipe to somebody's head. Like, just no thought process, just like bam.
You got a
bam.
lot of silent rage tucked in you, don't you, Dave?
Oh,
you just go to this office job with your tie, you just hold it in. You hold it in all day, you hold it in, then you go, I'm going to watch this movie where people just randomly kill each other while a happy song plays in the background.
I mean, I'm going to go postal one day. I don't know if that's acceptable to say anymore, but, you know, maybe just one day I'm just going to snap. But,
John, what about you?
I watched the new Beavis and Butthead cartoon. It has some cool... It's literally like a clone of the 90s cartoon. Like, they watch a music video or a TikTok video and make fun of it. And they have the little cartoons, like, episodes in between that. Like, so Beavis has always been obsessed with fire, but the fire is actually telling him to, like, finish high school, go to college. You're going to be... He's, like, giving him motivational stuff, and Beavis is like, no. And then he puts the fire out. And so it's funny to think, like, the whole time that the fire was actually... like a father figure that's why he's been playing with the fire. Like, anyway, that's just like crazy. Then they go to an escape room. They get stuck in an escape room, but instead of going to the escape room, they walk into the men's restroom, and they see a sign on the wall, and it's like, oh, Joe blows or whatever. And they're like, wait a minute, we got to get out of here. We got to get out of the escape room to go back and hang out with these girls. So who is Joe blowing? Why does he blow? You know what I mean? Like,
or what was it, like Joe eats nuts or Joe eats balls?
It's ridiculous. It's potty humor in a potty, essentially.
But you know what? It's one of the, because I watched the 2 episodes also. It's what I like to call stupid things made by smart people. Like,
oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, Mike Judge is not an idiot, but those characters are. I mean, just because of their reading comprehension, they can't figure out shit like, oh, we can get out of this bathroom by pulling because the knob says pull. They're trying to push to get out. Like,
actually, Dave, in today's world, they seem like geniuses to me. They seem like right at the tip of the gene pool today. So besides that, what else did I watch? You mentioned What They Do in the Shadows. I don't like the new season. I have been watching that.
I just think it's gone with a little bit of a decline. Like, of course, the first season is the best.
There's a decline, but there's the meat market episode. I mean, even though the season as a whole has been a slight dip, that meat market episode killed me. Just some of the bits in that, on the train, how they, you know, get people to actually get to the meat market. Some of the other, although that's some potty humor. Somebody farts a song and gets everybody out that's not supposed to be there. I don't know. Although the last episode too, I mean, I kind of got a kick out of Nandor, like his face. He's got to deal with the genie to make his face look younger, but it's looking more and more increasingly just awkward. They give a guy a stroke by like commanding or putting him to sleep or whatever, like 700 times or something, like in an evening, so he has a stroke. I don't know.
Half the audience knows what you're talking about, and the other half is like, what is he?
Well, if you don't know who Nandor is, I guess we can't be friends. I don't know what to tell you. I agree that there is a slight dip, but I think their worst episode is still better than a lot of crap that's out there. So, you know.
I would also agree. It has its moments.
I kind of want to watch every movie that a Predator's in because of how good Prey was, you know?
I'm definitely
going to go back and watch Predators, which is the only one I haven't seen, which I've actually heard good things about. Or
like, you know, we have a movie list that we have to get to, folks, on the show, and I'm like, should I just cross it out and write in every single Predator movie that ever existed? I'm not going to do it, but
well, that's a month.
We've made decisions.
There's
like
4 other movies. That's just a whole theme month, I guess. The Predator month.
The Predator month.
To Catch a Predator. We'll call that run. To Catch a Predator.
Wow. Oh boy.
I like it. I'm game.
Sit in the chair. Why were you hunting that? Why were you hunting that person? No, sit down. Why?
I just drove 600 miles to deliver a pizza. I have no idea.
That's great.
What
Now
you're
put down the
talking about.
McDonald's. Why'd you come? Why'd you come to Hunt?
I just told you. I'm trying to find the theme song to play off this horrible joke that Dave started, and I can't find it. Oh, there it is. Okay. So if Dave hasn't gotten arrested by next week or hasn't gotten me arrested and Jordan's the witness, then we'll be back to podcast about another movie. I think we're going to do one of the Judge Dredd movies, the second one, which has the guy from The Boys. Who plays Billy the Butcher in the Boys show?
Carl Urban.
Yeah, so Carl Urban, he played Judge Dredd in Dredd, which is from like 2012. If you're following along out there, go watch Dredd, then come back, listen to our show about it next week. Otherwise, watch Prey or any of the other 6 or 7 Predator movies that are out there. The movie's about the aliens, David, not a show about catching the guy delivering the pizza to the underage girl 600 miles away. Let's clarify what we're discussing. Make it real clear.
Hey, look, I'm just saying they named their show after a popular film series. Comparisons are going to be made.
Got a little dark at the end. Sorry, folks. Good night.